At my brother's engagement, I announced the gift, a $10,000 payment for their brand new luxury car. He laughed. Make it $20,000 if you want an invite. I smiled, withdrew the payment, and then I turned to him and said, start packing. You have 30 days. And handed him a formal notice in front of 40 guests. I mean, come on, Daniel. My brother Mike laughed, his voice cutting through the quiet murmur of the party. Make it $20,000 if you want an invite. Laughter rippled around the room, our cousins chuckling, his fiancé's friends exchanging amused glances. I felt the heat rise in my cheeks, the familiar sting of humiliation. But I didn't flinch. I just smiled, the same polite smile I'd worn for years. The mask I had perfected. I had announced the gift just moments ago. A $10,000 payment toward their new luxury car. It was a generous gift, something I had saved for, wanting to show support. But Mike, my brother, never saw generosity. He saw leverage. His fiancée, Sarah, standing beside him, squeezed his arm, a nervous giggle escaping her lips. "Oh, Mike, stop! He's joking!" she whispered. But there was no correction in Mike's eyes. He wasn't joking. Across the room, my father raised his glass. "That's right, Danny boy, always trying to buy your way into things. Some things never change." He grinned, a toothy smile, but his eyes were cold. My mother sipped her wine, eyes fixed on the table, pretending not to hear. That was her specialty, pretending. I felt the familiar weight pressing down. The same weight I'd carried for years. I had paid for their bills when Dad lost his job, covered my mom's medical expenses without being asked, helped Mike through college with the small loans that he never intended to repay. Always the fixer, the wallet, the fool. But not tonight? I cleared my throat, forcing my voice to stay calm. "You're right, Mike. 10,000 isn't enough." I pulled out my phone, tapped a few buttons, and then looked at him, smiling. So I canceled it. The room went silent. Mike's smile faltered, his laughter dying in his throat. His friends glanced at each other, whispers starting to spread like wildfire. "You what?" he stuttered, his voice losing its bravado. I canceled the payment. I turned to the wall behind me where a large white screen had been set up for a slideshow of their engagement photos. But tonight it served a different purpose. I tapped a button on my phone and the screen lit up. Text messages appeared. Messages from Mike. "You know, I don't even want him here, but Mom's making me invite him. Don't worry. Once he pays for the car, we'll just ghost him again." Honestly, he's pathetic. I'd feel bad, but free money, right? The room was no longer just quiet. It was suffocating. Mike's face went pale. Sarah's hand slipped from his arm, her mouth half open in shock. The whispers turned into gasps and then silence again. "Daniel," my mother finally whispered, reaching out as if she could pull me away from the scene I was creating. But I didn't stop. Not this time. I stepped forward, my voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "Mike, I'm done. I'm done being your wallet. I'm done being your fool." I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out a crisp white envelope. "This is your 30-day eviction notice. You and Sarah have until the end of the month to pack up and leave my apartment." Mike's eyes widened. You can't do this," he sputtered. "You can't just—" "I can. I will." And with that, I placed the envelope on the table right next to their untouched champagne glasses. "Congratulations on your engagement," I said, letting the bitterness slip through. "But this is the last time you use me." And then I walked out, leaving behind the stunned silence of 40 witnesses. Their perfect night shattered. I wish I could say the fallout from the engagement party ended that night. That I walked away and they stayed silent, ashamed, hiding from the truth I exposed. But people like my family, they don't disappear. They regroup. They reload. It started the next morning. My phone buzzed before I even got out of bed. A message from my mother. "How could you humiliate us like that? We are family, Daniel." Family. I ignored it. 10 minutes later, another. "Your brother is devastated. Sarah's family is furious. You need to apologize. Fix this." By the time I made coffee, my phone was a war zone. Missed calls from my father, a dozen texts from Mike, ranging from desperate to vicious. "You ruined everything. You're a jealous little snake. I'll never forgive you." My silence only seemed to fuel them. When I didn't answer, they took it public. The first shot came from my mother's Facebook page. Family isn't about it's about loyalty. Some people need to remember that. Comments flooded in. Distant relatives chimed in with their support. Aunts and uncles posted hearts. Only one person asked what happened. That comment was deleted within minutes. Then Mike's friends joined the attack. His best friend Josh posted a story. Some people just love to ruin other people's happiness. Sad. Mike's fiancée Sarah wasn't quiet either. On her Instagram, a photo of her crying with a caption, "Betray cuts deepest when it's from your own blood." I stared at the screen, feeling a slow, cold burn spread through me. But I didn't respond. Not yet. That night, I got a call. I almost didn't answer, but the number was familiar. Sarah's brother, Tom. We hadn't spoken in years, but we'd always been civil. I picked up. "Daniel," he began, his voice tense. "I need to know the truth about Mike, about what happened." I hesitated, then decided to be honest. I told him everything. The money, the texts, the way Mike had mocked me, used me, even bragged about it behind my back. Tom was silent for a moment. I knew it, he whispered. I knew it all along. Sarah's been covering for him. I found texts, too, from him to her bridesmaids. He's been trying to hook up with 2 of them. I sat down, my hand gripping the phone tighter. Are you serious? Dead serious, no, Tom spat. And you know what? I'm done watching her play the fool. I'm going to tell her everything. I didn't stop him. Why would I? But I didn't expect how quickly it would spiral. The next day, Sarah's Instagram was gone. Her profile picture replaced with a blank icon. Her Facebook account deactivated. And in our family group chat, chaos. Mom, Daniel, what did you do? Sarah broke off the engagement. Dad, you have gone too far. You have destroyed your brother's life. Mike, you're nothing but a fraud. I will make you pay for this. But I didn't destroy his life. Mike did. And I had proof. Proof that I was done pretending. I pulled out my laptop, logged into the cloud account I had linked to the security camera in my apartment, the one Mike and Sarah had been living in, the one where Mike thought he was safe. It didn't take long to find what I needed. A month-old clip. Mike in the living room, laughing with 2 of his friends. A bottle of whiskey in his hand. Dude, Daniel is way too trusting, Mike laughed, slurring slightly. He thinks he's being the good big brother, paying for everything. Always covering for us. The guy's pathetic. One of his friends laughed. He's not going to find out you spend his rent money on that watch, right? Mike grinned. No, even if he does, he'll just give me some nonsense lecture and then pay it off again. Always does. I downloaded the video, saved a backup, then I opened another folder. My receipts. The payments I had made for the apartment, the bills, the small loans I had sent Mike over the past 3 years, over $40,000 in total. I compiled everything. Screenshots of texts, bank transfers, the video of Mike's mockery. It wasn't about revenge. It was about truth. About ripping off the mask he wore, not just to me, but to everyone around him. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Dad. You think you're some kind of hero? You think you're better than us? I stared at it, and for the first time in years, I smiled. I opened Facebook, went to my profile, and began typing. Family isn't about loyalty. It's about respect, and respect is earned. Then I attached the video of Mike laughing, the screenshots of his texts, the list of payments. I clicked post, and then I watched. Within minutes, the comments exploded. Relatives tagging each other. Friends sending me messages, some shocked, some supportive. Sarah's brother Tom liked the post, then commented, You did the right thing. They needed to see the truth. But my family went nuclear. Mom called, screaming through the phone. How could you do this? How could you shame your own brother? Dad's text was almost incoherent. Take it down now, or I swear I will make you regret this. And Mike, he tried to call again. Again. When I didn't answer, he sent a final text. You think this is over? You have no idea how far I'm willing to go. I leaned back in my chair, feeling a strange sense of calm. They wanted to fight. They had no idea how ready I was. I had barely finished reading the last furious text from my father when my phone rang. Mom's name flashed on the screen. For a second, I almost didn't answer, but something in me needed to hear her voice, to see if she was still pretending, still covering for them. Daniel, she began, her voice softer than usual. Can we talk, please? Just us talk? I leaned back, feeling the familiar weight of disappointment. About what? How I'm a traitor? How I destroyed Mike's perfect life? No, she whispered, almost too quietly. Not like that. I don't want to fight. Please. There's a yoga class I go to, and there's a little cafe there. Can you meet me after, just to talk? I hesitated, but then a strange calm settled over me. Maybe this was it. The final conversation. Fine, I'll be there. The yoga studio was a pristine, glass-walled sanctuary of peace and whispered affirmations. I watched through the window as Mom moved through slow, deliberate poses, her expression serene, as if nothing was wrong in our world. But in my pocket, the truth pulsed. My phone loaded with evidence. The video of Mike mocking me, the texts where he bragged about using me, his plans to cheat on Sarah, and the audio of my father's threats. When Mom finally stepped out, she smiled, dabbing at her forehead with a towel. Thank you for coming. We walked to the attached cafe, a cozy, minimalistic space with hanging plants and soft, instrumental music. She ordered a green smoothie. I stuck a black coffee. I'm glad you're here, Daniel, she started, her voice gentle, almost pleading. I just want us to understand each other. I want to fix this. I leaned forward. How do you fix something that's always been broken? Please, she whispered. Don't be like this. Your brother, he's struggling. He's hurting. And your father is furious that I'm not a puppet anymore. I interrupted. Is that what this is about? You want me to apologize to fix the mess he made? Her face palled slightly. It's not about sides, Daniel. It's about family. Family? I let out a bitter laugh. The same family that mocked me, used me, betrayed me. The same family that tried to turn everyone against me the second I stood up for myself. Daniel, please. Her voice trembled. I'm trying to make peace. But then the cafe door swung open, and peace shattered. Mike walked in, swaggering like a man who still thought he was in control. Behind him, Dad. His face said it before his mouth did, that same old glare. The one that always meant trouble. Mom's eyes widened. You two weren't supposed to... Save it, Mom, Mike sneered, pulling out a chair. We figured this little talk could use some honesty. Yeah, Dad growled, taking the seat next to me. Let's get this straight, Danny. You've embarrassed this family enough. I glanced at Mom. Her mask of calm was gone, replaced with panic. What? Silent now? Mike smirked. Come on, Mr. Truth Teller. Got more stories to share, or did your 15 minutes of fame finally end? I sipped my coffee, feeling the burn but staying calm. Stories like the one where you bragged about using me, or the one where you told Sarah's friends she was too stupid to see what you were doing. Mike's smug grin faltered, but he didn't back down. Shut up. You think anyone believes you? I don't care who believes me, I said, my voice low but sharp. I only care about what's true. True, Dad leaned in, his voice a snarl. What's true is you're a selfish little brat who turned on his own family. You think you're better than us? I think I'm done with your games. Games? Mike laughed, leaning back. Dude, you've always been a joke. A desperate little loser trying to buy respect. I smiled. A joke. I pulled out my phone, tapped a few buttons, and the large TV screen in the cafe, normally used for fitness tutorials, flickered to life. Mike's voice boomed through the speakers. Daniel's always so naive. He thinks helping us means he belongs. It's honestly disappointing. The cafe went silent. Heads turned. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. On screen, the video continued. Mike with his friends laughing, drinking in my apartment. And Sarah, she's a clueless fool. She actually thinks I'm serious about her. Dude, I've got 2 of her bridesmaids lined up already. Mike stepped forward, his face red with anger. But I stayed calm. Don't touch me. Turn that off! He shouted, his voice cracking. But I ignored him. I pulled up the next file. Screenshots of his texts. The ones where he mocked me. Called me a walking wallet. Where he laughed about the money I paid for his car, his rent, his debts. Lies! He screamed. You edited those. I didn't edit this. I switched to the audio recording. My father's voice crackled through the speakers. He's weak. Just press him enough and he'll give in. He always does. Dad's face went white. You were recording me? I wasn't. But you're too stupid to know how phones work. Mom reached out, tears in her eyes. Daniel, please stop. But I wasn't done. I looked at Mike. You think you're clever? A coward who can't even stand by his own words. I turned to Dad. And you? You only ever cared about control? Well, it's over. Then I looked at Mom. And you? You never stood up for me, not once. Stop it, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. Please stop. But it was too late. The truth was out. Mike's face twisted in rage. You'll regret this. You're so selfish. You only think about yourself. Mike tried to get closer, but the manager stepped between us, raising his voice. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Get off me, Mike roared. But the manager tightened his grip. Dad tried to stand, but his knees shook. This isn't how you treat family, Daniel. No, I said, staring at him. This is exactly how you treat family when family is poison. I grabbed my coat, slipping the phone back into my pocket. I didn't look back. Not at their shock. Not at their anger. Not at the chaos I left behind. When the door swung shut behind me, I felt the cold air hit my face. But for the first time in years, I could breathe. I returned home, and the silence was like a warm embrace. No angry voices, no guilt-tripping texts, just the low hum of my fridge and the rain tapping against my window. I set my phone on the counter, waiting for the inevitable. It didn't take long. My phone lit up, vibrating in a frenzy. First, Dad, you've ruined this family. Daniel, this is on you. Then Mom, Daniel, please, he's your brother. Can't you just let it go? And finally, Mike, you always hide behind others. You think this is over? You won't forget this. I leaned back, sipping the coffee that had gone cold, feeling nothing but a strange sense of calm. This wasn't over. They were right. It wasn't. But it would be soon. I grabbed my laptop, opened the folder, my war chest. Bank transfers, text messages, audio files, and of course, the video of Mike boasting about how I was his personal ATM. I knew what I had to do. Within an hour, I was sitting across from Sarah, my old friend from college, now a successful attorney. She flipped through the evidence, her expression shifting from curiosity to shock to righteous fury. This is ironclad, Daniel. We can take them to court for fraud and unjust enrichment. Good, I replied, voice steady. I want every cent back. The lawsuit hit them like a sledgehammer. Mom was the first to call, her voice frantic. Daniel, please, you can't do this. We're family. No, we're not. Family doesn't steal from each other, I replied, hanging up. Then Dad tried his old tactic. Intimidation. You think you're a tough guy now, suing your own blood? The judge will laugh you out of the room. He won't, I said. Because you're going to lose. And Mike? Mike tried bargaining. Okay, fine. I'll pay you back. Just drop the case. Okay, pay me back, I laughed. With what? The money you wasted on luxury watches or the car you can't afford. The silence on the line was everything I needed to hear. In the courtroom, the truth was a sledgehammer. My lawyer laid it all out. The payments I'd made for Mike's rent, his luxury car, the endless loans that were never repaid. The video of Mike bragging to his friends about how he was using me played on the screen. Mike shifted uncomfortably in his chair, his face pale. Mom sat in the gallery, dabbing her tears with a tissue. Dad stared straight ahead, his jaw clenched. Mike's lawyer tried to argue that I had willingly helped my brother, but Sarah countered. Helping a family member is one thing. Being manipulated, lied to, and financially drained is another. This is not help. This is fraud. The final blow came when I presented the audio recording of Dad's voice. Just press him enough and he'll give in. He always does. The judge's expression hardened. The gavel fell. I rule in favor of the plaintiff. Michael Connor is ordered to repay the full amount of $43,000 to Daniel Connor, plus damages for emotional distress. Furthermore, the court finds that Mr. Connor's actions were a clear abuse of trust. Mike's face went blank, his mouth opening and closing like a fish gasping for air. Dad's knuckles turned white as he gripped the edge of the bench. I stood up, feeling the weight lifting from my chest. I was free. The fallout was immediate. Mai tried to reach out, begging me to work something out. He promised to pay in installments to fix things. I blocked him. Dad left me a furious voicemail calling me a traitor, a snake, a disgrace to the family. I deleted it without listening to the end. Mom came to my door, pounding and sobbing. Daniel, please don't do this. We can talk. We can fix this. I stared at her through the peephole, her voice muffled but desperate. And then I walked away. They tried to turn the family against me. I heard from a few cousins vague messages about how I should think about what I'm doing. I ignored them. Then I heard that Mike was forced to sell his luxury car, the one his fiancée Sarah's family had paid for, just to cover part of the debt. Dad tried to pull out money from his retirement account to help, but it wasn't enough. They even tried to claim financial hardship to the court, hoping to reduce the payments. My lawyer shredded their claims. Your son paid for your lifestyle while you mocked him. Now it's time to pay him back. The first payment landed in my account a month later. An automated transfer. Cold. Impersonal. But every dollar was a reminder, not of what I lost, but of what I reclaimed. I didn't waste the money. I paid off the rest of my student loans, invested in my future, upgraded my old battered car to a sleek, efficient model, signed up for a gym membership, focused on myself. But the best part was the silence. No more desperate calls, no more guilt-tripping texts, no more pretending that I was the problem. One day I saw Sarah, Mike's ex-fiancée, at a cafe. She smiled, waved me over. I'm sorry, she said simply, her eyes warm but a little sad. You don't owe me an apology, I replied. We talked for a while. I learned she had left Mike for good, moved on with her life. I told her I was doing the same. But as I walked away, a quiet ache settled in my chest. Winning didn't feel like victory. It felt like losing a part of myself I had tried so hard to protect. Maybe I wasn't just fighting them. I was fighting the fear of being alone. That night, sitting in my quiet, cozy apartment, I opened a new document on my laptop. I wrote a letter, not to them, but to myself. Dear Daniel, you are not a wallet. You are not a punching bag. You are not their savior. You are you. And you are finally free. I saved it, closed the laptop, and smiled. The rain tapped against the window, a soothing rhythm, but this time, it wasn't a storm.